Good afternoon. This is Spirit Journey. Today I want to talk about something that's very controversial, but I want to preface the basis of what I want to talk about is not based on my hating any individual or group. I realize what this conversation or what I'm going to talk about is really based on my jealous for the African American people. And I also want to preface to say that even though I was born here and that both of my parents were born here, but that my grandparents were not born here and that they're from the Caribbean. But I have a love for the African American people. What I mean by African American people, I specifically mean in this context those black people of African origin who were brought from Africa to the United States as slaves. I am referring to those people and that I have a love and a passion for them. I used to hate myself as someone of black heritage / African heritage, and I had a dislike and hatred for my fellow black man and woman. I was filled with contempt for myself, and I didn't love myself or others. But as I grew older and started to learn about my history in the African collective, that I have a lot to be proud of, and that when I see now as an adult people who are slamming their ancestors, that disassociating with the history of us even being enslaved. And so I say this, I'm going to do this video in love and respect for the history of my ancestors and the collective ancestors who were brought here in the Americas as slaves. So I hope you enjoy my story. And again, also this video is also based on an incident that happened today when I went shopping at a supermarket. And it was an American black woman, and how I felt when she told me, she shared with me, Happy Kwanzaa. And I did respond back, Happy Kwanzaa. But why? I'm going to explain why I felt upset about it. So it's going to be controversial, and again, I say this in love for the African American people, that I'm for you and not against you. So hope you enjoy. Take care. Bye-bye. Good evening. This is Spirit Journey. This presentation, again, my intent is to show the African American population that you are worthy, you have culture, and your culture comes from your experiences. It's not something that you conjure up. True culture comes from experience and is expressed through the heart. And it's based on self-love. When you're able to love yourself, you can also love others. And anything that's to flourish or to have some type of continuation has to have love as its motivation to push you forward to greatness, to give you stability and continuity. Without continuity, you don't exist. So again, this presentation is to promote self-love and to have jealousy for, not against, but jealousy for a people, the African American culture. That culture is right underneath your nose, and I feel that you don't see it, nor do some of you realize it, that it's right there. The grass greener concept doesn't belong here. The grass is greener on your side. Stop looking outside to think that what is good cannot come out from yourself. So with that in mind, again, I mentioned in the first part of this video, this presentation, about a woman that I met who wished me a happy Kwanzaa. And it put, even though I responded to her back, happy Kwanzaa, but it didn't settle with me. And I want to explain why it's causing me conflict. But again, anyone who wants to follow Kwanzaa, that gives them a sense of purpose and strength, go for it. And do it from the heart. As I mentioned, that I felt this woman from the supermarket, didn't say happy Kwanzaa to me in just love, but in hatred or dislike or contempt for white America or the system. And I don't want to be a part of a movement, even though I do not follow Kwanzaa, but any tradition or something that you recognize, that I feel it has to be what motivates the tradition has to be something that's significant to you. And yes, it was significant to her to say that, but not something that will ultimately bring fruition in the community as a whole. Any belief system, I feel, that is based on what you don't have or what someone else has, or about contempt or envy, it's not going to go anywhere. And actually, Kwanzaa is at its 50th anniversary. So again, those people who do follow Kwanzaa, happy 50th Kwanzaa. Now, what is Kwanzaa? Well, Kwanzaa is a movement that is based on the teachings of Professor Maulana Karenga. I don't know how to pronounce his middle name, but this is his name here where the cursor is. He's an American, an African American, and he was born Ronald McKinley Everett. And he's from Maryland, Parsonsburg, Maryland. He was born in 1941. He's currently 75 years of age, and he's very academic. He has a lot of credentials behind him, and he's a professor at a college. So, Mr. Karenga, he started the practice of Kwanzaa, and I first heard of the word Kwanzaa in 1996, and I was disappointed. At that time, I was trying to find my identity, if that makes any sense. I lived in New York City. I worked for a company that in finance on Wall Street, and not a lot of black people, at least back then, were in finance. And it was overwhelmingly white. And I just felt like I wanted something to identify with. And so someone was mentioning something. Oh, also at that time, I know about like in the like Brazil, they have Umbanda and Candomblé and Tapoeira. Tapoeira in particular that I knew about back then. And I was like, wow, they have this, martial arts, and it was to defend themselves against their oppressors. And so that gave me like yeah, to have, that you're not just a pushover. And I wanted to find something. Well, what about here? I'm not living in Brazil. If I was in Brazil, then I would embrace that. I said, well, what is something here in the United States that is something that came out from our oppression as slaves? And so I found someone said, hey, Kwanzaa. I said, oh, really? And so I think I looked it up, and I became quickly disappointed. I was disappointed because I thought, when because they had a name of an individual, and it was something recent, and I thought it was going to be something that was around for a long time during the time of slavery or something. But uh, Mr. Karenga formed, he had a book. He's a writer, and he wrote a book on Kwanzaa. And I see in looking at his background that I see, well, let's see here. Well, Kwanzaa, well, first his name, he did, as I showed, he had a name change, and more power to him with doing that. And it means, okay, Karenga, his last name, it's Swahili, and it says keeper of tradition, and then Molana is Swahili Arabic for master teacher. Okay, so he's saying he's the keeper, he's the master of the keeper of tradition. That's powerful. Okay, that's a powerful name, and I respect that. But where this video is going is that he has his doctorate. He's a well-learned man, Mr. Karenga. But I was disappointed with the Kwanzaa because I felt for me that, okay, it was something that was formulated, and but not formulated out of a community of people, but him specifically. And again, I am jealous in favor of the general black population in America, and that I wanted something that's collective of an experience, not from an intellectual. Also, Kwanzaa, the it's it's the language of the practice of Kwanzaa is not from an indigenous West African or Central African language-based practice, but an East African Swahili. Swahili is a language, it's a mixed language that is Arabic and Hamitic in its origin. And that's not me or the majority of the people in the blacks of the Americas. So, but I see here in his early life that he studied Swahili and Arabic. And also this is in the 1960s, as you can see. And so I'm thinking, okay, this, I guess at that time, Africa was going through, it was getting its independence from its European oppressors. And I was told with Swahili that the language is a little easier to pronounce than a lot of the West African languages or dialects. So that might be also maybe a reason why he might be gravitate towards it. Again, I don't know. But I'm thinking that how, like, when I think of Arabic, I think of slavers, because Swahili, the how the Swahili language formed was that the Arabs had come into East Africa, and it reflects in the language of the people and the appearance of the people as well. And that slave trade between East Africa to the what they call the Middle East or Persia, it was a slave trade, and a massive one. In fact, most of us died. There were more people that died from that slave trade than in the transatlantic slave trade that I'm from. So I don't understand him as a professor with a focus on this group when none of us come from that. So that was my first issue. So again, I'm jealous in favor of African Americans or blacks that were brought here to the Americas as slaves. Now I am jealous for our history. So that's why part of my being a little, a lot ruffled about Arabic or Swahili, the language. But again, there's nothing in itself wrong of speaking Arabic or Swahili. But if it's not from your background, then, I have, use a language from your culture. We come from West Africa, and it would have been nice if it's going to form a tradition here, practicing in the United States, to use a native West African language, such as Yoruba. You have the Yoruba language that is actually spoken in the Americas in their religious traditions, their ceremonies. It's not something that they just got from a book. It's something that's been carried over from West Africa. And some of my viewers of my channel are even telling me that we don't even come from West Africa, that we've always been here in the Americas. Well then, if that is true, how is that we have the Yoruba language spoken in the Americas? Okay? So, again, I am jealous for that heritage, that true heritage. And Yoruba and other West African religions could have been used in his religion or his philosophy. Okay? So, the other problem I have, okay, I'm just strolling through this. Let me see here. Well, he has some very nice, it's based on seven principles, okay? And these are some of it. Umoja means unity. I'm going to pronounce the English words. I don't know the Swahili. Self-determination, collective work and responsibility, cooperative economics, purpose, creativity, faith. Those are all beautiful things. But all this, it's the Kwanzaa is not, even though it's 50 years old, this year, but it's not carrying itself to greatness because, for one thing, what is carrying it? We don't speak Swahili. It's not of our tradition. Okay? And with all this stuff that's happening this year with the racial climate, I thought at first that he may not even be alive. But how come you don't hear any of these, he's going to start Kwanzaa, but I unfortunately have not heard him speak up on the racial climate here. You also see here that there was a conflict with him with the Black Panther Party. There was competition. And also there was, as you see here, his imprisonment. And and it's something with a woman, and that him being involved in some violence against women. At least this one particular woman, and he was arrested. So I just have a problem with that. I find it hard to be a part of this tradition with his background like this in abusing this woman. It says in 1971, Karenga was sentenced to 1 to 10 years in prison on counts of felonious assault and false imprisonment. One of the victims gave testimony of how Karenga and other men tortured her and other women, etc., etc. It doesn't sound good. So, my other concern with Kwanzaa is that, okay, I have it, well, Kwanzaa is going to, it's practiced from December 26th to January 1st. And I feel that the holiday is too, I feel, especially now seeing that he studied Swahili and Arabic, that I feel that Kwanzaa is a holiday used as a, I don't know how to say this, but in competition against Christmas or the white Santa Claus and Judaism's Hanukkah. And I know that's a real sharp statement, but look, Christmas is on December 25th. Most black people in the United States practice Christmas, or celebrate Christmas, I should say. And the majority are Christian. Many of them are Baptists and Pentecostals. So he's not going to have it covering Christmas, but the day after. Okay, so you can have, blacks could have their Christmas, and then he's going to have Kwanzaa, and they have the candles. You have 6 candles here. See right here? Now what does this look like to you? Okay, and the colors are red, black, and green. Now those colors is not African American. Marcus Garvey colors. Marcus Garvey was not an African American. He was Jamaican. So that was my other contention with Kwanzaa's colors. Now nothing wrong with those colors per se, but it's not African American. And so I want something that's created for someone that was at least born here. So that's my other, that's a contention I have. Okay, and it looks like, it reminds me of a menorah. Okay, these candles, let me show you what a menorah is. This is a type of menorah. And Hanukkah is practiced today, I mean, it starts from December 24 to January 1st. And again with Kwanzaa, it's the December 26th through January 1st. So I feel like it's put in between 2 major holidays, and 2 major holidays that may be considered what you call a white holidays. And I feel that he deliberately put it for this date to get back at these 2 religious faiths. But see, again, I say this because I am jealous for the African American. I don't believe in competing against anyone. I like to shine out by myself. I don't want to be squeezed in the middle for attention. Now he should have had this holiday. If he wants to promote those 7 principles, have those 7 principles away from the holidays on a different month. So that whole thing is focused on them, that is for you. It's for your consumption or anyone who wants to practice those 7 principles. They're beautiful 7 principles. But I don't want a tradition or a religion that looks too much like somebody else's religion. Okay, that's a menorah. These are some other ones. Okay, this looks too much. So I don't want something that looks too much like somebody else's or that someone may not like or you competing with. You don't have to go there. And again, it makes me feel more that he did this deliberately. It was a political move, I feel, especially finding out that his study of Swahili and Arabic. Okay, so I feel that might be a bias against these other groups, or maybe I don't know whether he practices Islam or anything like that. I don't know. And again, he can practice whatever religion he wants to, but I just feel it's not a coincidence. It's by design. And so it's that same spirit that woman in the store had. She didn't impart happy Kwanzaa, you know, because it's just, hey, she just likes the holiday. But it was again like warfare. No, that you don't have to have warfare. What if there were no white people, or what if we were in a new country? Let's say we get our reparation. We get our own state. Let's say there's no white people, no other ethnic group, but just you, African Americans or black people. Where then is Kwanzaa going to stand in that? With this woman from the supermarket, is she going to wish me a happy Kwanzaa if there was no white people around for her to say that? What would she be saying? She probably won't say anything to me, but she said it because of who was standing around. No one was bothering her. There was no contention in the atmosphere. But she made it contentious and warlike. I don't want to be a part of war. Not something like this. So where am I going to go with this? Now I'm saying for the African American, there are things that are genuinely African American, or things genuinely African in the Americas that is not made up from a college professor, and it's not used to compete against somebody else's religion or practice or experience. I want to introduce you to something that I learned about, and I've met these people. The Gullah, I'm sorry, it's the Garifuna I was going to say, but I give the Gullah people first. I'm sorry, the Gullah. I mean, I didn't meet these people, but the Garifuna that I'm going to mention next. But Gullah, the Gullah people. These are people from the United States. These people, they're descendants of enslaved Africans, and they lived in Georgia and South Carolina. There's actually a little island. It's an island off the coast of the Carolinas that they also live on. I believe the Butler family, I think it was the Butler family, I could be wrong, but there's an island and it's isolated, and these people have a distinct culture that grew out from slavery. They have their own language. The Gullah people and their language are also called Geechee, okay? It's very distinct. And let me see here. Okay, the origin of Gullah is unclear. Some scholars suggest that it may be a cognate with the word Angola, where the ancestors of some of the Gullah people likely originated, etc., etc. Okay, you can read this on your own leisure. Okay, just scrolling it down for you guys to read. See, this is the region where they live. And look at this, where these people could have come from. Let's see here. These are the names of the people: Baga, Fula, Kisi, Capel, Limba, Mandinka, Mende, Susu, etc. Wolof, Angola, Igbo, Calabar, Congo Republic, Gold Coast. And here you have people who say that we weren't brought here as slaves. What about these people? You have some of my viewers that say that black people weren't brought here as slaves and that they've always been here. Baloney. Be proud of your history. Stand proud that you're alive like these people. Look at this woman. This is culture. This is a woman. And look what she's making. This beautiful basket. This is not something she learned in a book. She learned it from her mother, who probably learned it from her mother, and so on. This is African. This is authentically African American. Look at this beautiful basket. See, one thing about America, African America, we're not teaching our kids how to make things with their hands. Look at this beautiful basket. This is art. This is a practical basket. You can put things in it. It's beautiful. This is heritage. This is not from a college professor. This is something that is tradition. This is what's going to move your culture ahead, because it's practical and it's beautiful and it's something that came out from a history. Okay? Look at that, beautiful. See that? That's something. Cultural survival. Look at that. Look at that. These are beautiful people. That's your culture. And I don't know why Karenga didn't use this for his book. Why didn't he use this language, Gullah, as a national language for the African American? And also, the Carolinas is a major port there in the Carolinas, where the blacks where the blacks were sent to and then dispersed throughout the rest of the United States. But this was the port, the major port that we were brought on and then sent to the other states. Okay? Now he could have used this as his book. His book to rely on, to form this new awareness, this Kwanzaa. He could have used that religion, this cult, these people, the Gullah, but he didn't, and he focused on a Arab-based culture, and not your culture, not West African. I have another group that you could use and embrace as well. Let's say some of you who are listening say, well, I wasn't born in North America. I'm Caribbean or something. Okay, I got something for you guys that's authentic. Ta-da! This is about the Garifuna people. They're also known as the Black Caribs. And I met these people, and they're genuinely nice people. They predominantly live in Central America, in Belize, and the other country right next to Belize. But they're nice people. Now the Garifuna are people. There was in the transatlantic slave trade, there was a ship in I think 1635 that were in the people, the black people were put on these slave ships, And something happened. I don't remember whether it was a rebellion or it was a shipwreck. Either way, they escaped. And many of them escaped they were right next to an island called St. Vincent's. That's in the southern Caribbean. Okay? And in short, what happened? Okay, these people were never slaves. They were captives. They were kidnapped from Africa, put on those slave ships, but they escaped and they mingled with the indigenous people of that island. Some years later, the British people separated the the Africans with the um, indigenous people of St. Vincent and some of the other islands. They separated them, and they took the African or the darker skinned ones, and they moved them to another location, and many of them now live in Honduras. Okay, but these people, what excites me about this people, they they have they hold a lot of their African traditions. That you can even go on YouTube and look at the African dances they do. It's remarkable, and they have a language, the Garifuna language. That I think it's a mixture of the Arawak people from the Caribbean. These are the indigenous people of the Caribbean. And I think they speak their language or a mixture of that language. It's a distinct language, but I think it comes out from the indigenous people there with their African language. Okay? And you have, they talk about, it has here, the different countries where they could have come from. Let me find that here. Okay, well, it does say it's about 600,000 of them now. Okay, they're in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. They live in Honduras, Belize, Guatemala. Okay. I'm going down here. They have, okay, it says it is an Arawakan language with French, English, and Spanish influences. Okay. Nice, nice. Now this language, okay, it comes out from the experience. It's not something from a college professor. Okay, now this is another group. He could have, Dr. Karenga could have based some of the book that he did, on Kwanzaa. He could have even used their language as a basis for the 7 principles. These are survivors. Here's some of them now in the picture here, these ladies. Look at that. That this is something beautiful, and they're really nice people. Very nice. Very nice. Okay, they even have the genetics here. Okay, the Karanegu. Okay, it's 76% African, 20% Arawak, Carib, and 4% European. Okay? So, I share this with you, again, that you don't have to make up a religion or a history. You don't have to make up, because reality and truth is right there. It's beautiful. I don't know why he did this to you, Dr. Karenga or Professor Karenga. Here, look, this is pictures what the Garifuna or the black carrots look like. Look at that. They're proud people, and they're nice. These women are just a nice heart. I know they're so warm. If you only meet them, these are real people, and some of them even live in New York City, in Harlem. And see, this is something you can teach your kids about people who from the struggle have have overcome and have got a name for themselves, and they're walking in harmony and in love. Without love, you're not going anywhere. Okay? So again, I share these things with you. Again, not based, not it's not done to bash anybody, to just because I have nothing better to say, but in love, love and jealousy for a people, that your heritage and your pride is within, and it's something you don't have to make up, because there's reality right in front of you. The grass is green underneath your feet, not in someone else's yard, but it's right there for you. So I know what I'm saying may seem controversial and maybe might offend some people, but my motive is not to offend. My motive is to educate, that you have real culture right under your feet, and to know what other people may be doing is to actually, not give credit, and the motive of why they created a religion, or, why. Always ask yourself why. And did you know that January 1st is the Emancipation Proclamation? But I never hear him talk about that. I never hear it. I never hear it in a newspaper or on the media. We don't celebrate that. Why don't we celebrate that? See? You got it right underneath your feet, things that you could celebrate, but you don't. Start digging what you do have right under your feet. Embrace it. Teach your children about this Emancipation Proclamation, about Juneteenth. These are your traditions. Be jealous for your tradition and heritage, and get your own to teach it. So, thank you again for listening. And if you have any comments, you can share it below. Share this video with friends, family members, and as I always say, you could subscribe to Spirit Journey, and if you like, please give me the thumbs up. Peace and love to you all. Bye bye, guys.